Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.
Good morning. Welcome to the Better Your Business Show. Learn from our panel of industry experts as we teach you how to better your business. I'm Natalie Essman, financial strategist and your host. On our panel this morning, we have the beautiful executive business coach, Shanna Mavis, the professor himself, social media marketer, Todd Social, and co-founder of I Do Systems, T-Ron Glover. Good morning, guys.
Morning. Well, we know if you're a business owner, then you're a visionary. You are actively taking the steps to establish financial freedom and leave a legacy behind. You have goals, you have dreams, and you have the commitment to achieve them. But what you may not have, and why we're bringing this show to you, is access to experts who can provide real step-by-step instructions, a roadmap of sorts to help you reach your destination without falling prey to the mindset that you have to fail to succeed. And you're going to hear this later in the show, I'm certain of it, but failure is not required.
And we all know that building a business doesn't come with an instruction manual. Our goal is to always turn your roadblocks into bite-sized pieces to help you better your business.
Yes, so whether you are joining us live or watching the replay, go to pillar5.com, take your free business assessment, see where you're at in your business, and then join us on the show so we can talk about it and address any questions and concerns that you have.
Indeed. Well, I'm extremely excited I had to come back for another one of these shows. We have brilliant breakthroughs. I mean, we didn't even get all of them the last time, but the crew that's coming in on the second round today is going to really be something worth taking notes to, ingesting, digesting, and applying in our daily lives. These guys are really awesome. Really take my hats off to them.
Yeah, they did a great job of making it really practical. Just bringing advice to business owners as you're going through the storytelling, through their experiences, and just their wisdom just shines through in this book in just such a real and easy to digest way.
Indeed. We often think about entrepreneurs. I know you said earlier that you're a go-getter. You want to accomplish your dreams, and you're an overachiever. And a lot of times you're an author. And the power of authorship, I don't know anyone who hasn't taken their life or transcended in one form or another through the act of reading a book. Something that a post, I don't care what it is, but there is a celebrity that needs to be attached to authors because they really help all of us push the needle forward. So I really take my hats off to them. And anyone else out there that's an author, authoring. It's a powerful work you do.
It is. And the greatest thing about this book is it is a footprint of collaborations and a consistency of thought in their authorship. Because a lot of people that write books write from a perspective or they write for a direction. And I feel like a lot of the people that we will speak to today and we've spoken to over the course of this book, they've shown a direction in their thought process that allows people to get outside of sometimes the silo of what business puts you in. You stay laser focused on what you want to do or your initiative or your goal, but to set aside your goal and to actually look at it in a way that's articulated for you to find your direction is what is achieved by these authors.
Yes, sir. Agreed. Powerhouses. The new rock stars, author. Kids, you can grow up, you want to be an author. That's the way to go. Change lives, make moves, shift paradigms, transcendable. Let's go to it.
I mean, the reality is everyone has a story to tell. It's just these people have taken their story and put it in such a way that's just beneficial to everyone else. And, and you never know the impact of your story. And so the power of these words is just amazing. It changed a lot of how I do things, and so many years. I don't want to say how many, but yeah, so many years in business, in life, and still these words, they helped me to understand better time integrity. We talked about that, we talked about that in the previous show, and that time integrity piece, just hearing his words and understanding it's a simple switch. It was just phenomenal. And that's what it takes sometimes. So I'm excited to bring him on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's bring in Maggie Mangan. She is the mastermind behind the series. And it's just incredible to hear her story. So I am definitely excited to. Maggie, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome back.
Well, thanks for having
us here.
Wow. So the story, what story do you want to hear, Natalie?
How did the series get started, right? Rumor has it, I heard that this was not even meant to be a series originally, right? And now it's turned into a 5-book series, 5-time #1 international bestseller. Huge deal. So how did this go from 1 book to 5?
Demand. The whole concept was I saw a need in the marketplace with the small business sector, and I was working with clients who were experts, but there was a disconnect between those two. And I really didn't want to go ahead and create a book. Actually, I did a lot of research, and I found out that a book was exactly what is going to sustain in the marketplace for the small business sector. So that was a surprise for me. And it's like, okay, we're going to write a book. And I reached out to people that I vetted as brilliant practicing experts, and they said yes. We didn't know what we were doing. We figured it out along the way with some great coaching that helped us land the plane last minute. And the rest is history. A #1 right out of the gate. And because the demand was so high, we continued. So that's where we are. And we stop at 5 volumes.
It's so wonderful, and congratulations.
Thank you.
What a huge accomplishment.
As you can see, I don't have any more room on my shelf. So
Bigger show. Maggie, I wanted to ask you, since you said that you didn't expect it to go, where did you expect it to go?
Good question.
And when it exceeded it, obviously, but where did you see it as I'm thinking about people who are going to now author, because they're going to see every time something's accomplished, it looks easy. And it really gives a lot of encouragement to people who want to do it. Accomplishment gives encouragement to people who want to accomplish something. So where did you see it at? You started somewhere, and starting is how we get to wherever we're going to end up at. But you had that go get it attitude. Where did you see the goal at?
Oh, my true focus was to help small business owners stop banging their head against the wall. Okay, and if there was a way that we could, thank you guys, help them shorten up the learning curve and shave years off of that learning curve and get them out of that lost opportunity phase and into opportunity, they would win big in this century. And that's what it was about. I saw so many small business owners and entrepreneurs using last century's techniques, and they don't work now. They are, and they might work just a little bit, but if they transition into what is happening in this century, they will have quantum leaps in their success. So I had a really different focus, and I just wanted to get a new way out there. Thus, the subtitle is Fresh Perspectives on Profitability, People, Productivity, and Finding Peace in Your Business. So I had a really different focus. That's my story. It's not really
it sounds like this. I know you speak to something that's, I'm sure this kind of falls in line with entrepreneurs, like taking that leap and going out, just experimenting. And there's something that you said about experimenting and the possibilities that can happen if you're willing to experiment and engage in those possibilities. Can you speak to that a little bit?
All day long. How long does this show go? Okay, so self-leadership is what I wrote about in volume 5. And the reason why I wrote about it is I saw volume 5 as being like a bonus book for me because I addressed each one of those other 4 performance pillars I just mentioned in volumes 1 through 4. So this was like, if I could leave one parting message, what would it be? And it's self-leadership, because self-leadership is intentional leadership. And we become better leaders of others and projects if we lead ourselves first. And we do it in an intentional way. So one of the things, and it's right at the very end of my chapter, I talk about how self-leadership, the leaders that practice self-leadership, and you won't know it because it's called many other things, okay, but focusing on self, embraces being a possibilitarian. Okay, I am a possibilitarian. I own that. And right now, some of you are like, yeah, and others are like, what the heck is that? So a possibilitarian is somebody who truly believes that there are possibilities, but they are not an idealist, okay? Let me back that up. Idealists are like, anything is possible. Well, anything is possible. And the possibilitarian understands other things are probable, okay? And the possibilitarian says, okay, we want to make this happen. What's the most probable way of achieving it? And that's where experimentation comes in. And the funny thing about self-leaders is they embrace possibility because they understand that it fosters self-efficacy, which is just a fancy word for confidence, right? And they are willing to go ahead and experiment with possibilities to get to the probability of what they are trying to achieve. Okay, and that's the difference between just being an idealist saying anything can happen and making sure that you're doing the right things to achieve your goal. So it's right thoughts, right action will achieve success. And that's what I write about in the chapter as well, is the right thoughts, right actions. And that can only really be achieved through experimenting. And people do it all the time, but they don't realize they're doing it. So does that help?
Yeah, that helps a lot. It's something I wanna wear that badge. I like being a possibilitarian. I like the idea of being a possibilitarian.
Yeah, it's cool and it's fun.
Right.
I love it.
And it's strategic because it's plausible as well. It's not just, oh, it's doable. It's like, well, how doable? You know, let's really look into that. Let's look into that. Yeah, I like that. That makes it actionable.
You know, because when you think about it, you're spot on. It's strategic because it's about thoughts. And strategy goes along with leadership. Whereas most people spend time in the doing, which is about action and management and tactics, you know, and self-discipline. So the key is if you get caught in the doing, you're not necessarily creating the right actions to achieve your goal, because it has to first start with thoughts, just like a business concept. It first starts with a thought, right? And then you get busy hopefully aligning your actions to achieve that thought, your goal.
Right.
You know, so it is a little different. And in the chapter, I pull leadership and management apart so people can see how they are different and yet how they are cousins to each other. And you need both to achieve, but the sequence is what matters.
Very interesting, young lady. Very interesting.
I know. I like that. And I definitely want to get into that more because I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, I would say, are possibilitarians. But the problem that I've seen is they start doing. Every possibility becomes something that they take action on. And so I want to talk a little bit more. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how do you break that cycle? How do you, I know we talked about pausing and reflecting, but what are some practical steps they can take to realize that, not everything is probable and you need to, look at all of these possibilities and kind of compartmentalize or something. You're the expert there, so I'm going to shut up.
Very, very simple. I work with my clients and I say, pretend you're on the edge of a cliff and you look down And there are endless possibilities for you to take to achieve whatever it is. Okay. But when you take a step off that cliff, you choose a path, and that becomes a path of probability. Now, the funny thing about that is everybody thinks they're stuck on that path. But here's the secret, you're not. You can jump over to another path if what you find out through your experimentation, which is just getting out there and practicing what you're doing, is ready to go. So just think about this. When you're ready to make that shift, you can make that shift to another path and go experiment with this part of the process. And business is nothing more than one huge experiment. And probably the obvious is pricing alone, just pricing out whatever it is you're offering. There are so many experiments with that one concept of business. And all of a sudden you say, oh, they're everywhere. So just know that when you're standing on the edge of the cliff, you take your first step, make it align with your strategy. And if it isn't, find a better path that will get you to your strategy so you can align your actions and get to your destination, which is the goal you intended in the first place.
9-inch nailed it, spot on. Not a secret. It's not a secret to the goal. It's not a secret to success. It's a system. Put some things in order. Be intentional, and go do it, man. You only get one shot at this thing. There's no do-overs. Experiment. See what's possible. See what's plausible. See what's not. But you find out from experiment. I love it. I dig it. I love it a lot.
Well, thank you, because there is a sequence to success. Okay, and it starts here. And it doesn't start with actions, the doing, like you were saying earlier. So thank you for allowing me to share.
No, that's awesome. I want to go ahead and bring in one of the other authors, one of the new #1 best-selling authors, or #1 international best-selling authors. I don't want to miss that because this is a huge deal. So Bhushan, if we can bring him into the studio, that would be amazing. We have some questions for him about not the new normal, but the flexible normal. So please, I'm going to just let you take it away because this part resonated with me and it touched me. Everyone is, coining the term, the new normal. We've all got to adjust to the new normal. But you broke it down a little bit differently, and I think people need to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. And yes, we have been challenged for the last, I would say, about 2 years on everything that we believed was normal. And we, as human beings, will adapt. We always have adapted. And I started hearing these phrases like the next normal or the new normal. And what I started thinking about was we are again trying to land on something that is consistent and constant. The only difference is there is no consistent and constant anymore. We have realized that. And what we have instead is a normal. And what we need to understand is it is flexible. It is not constant. So taking an example is if somebody had said to me that, hey, in a year's time, the whole world is going to shut down and you're going to stay at home for 6 months, I would have laughed at him. When that did happen, and when we got into those situations, one of the things that I started realizing very quickly is this is not going away. These kind of experiences are going to keep coming at us, and we have to deal with it as if it is a normal, because it's moving. Every day is a moving target now. Everything was going great. We thought we were coming out of the pandemic. The Delta variant was going away slowly, and our numbers were going down. Everything was fine. But in my mind, I said, no, that's a flexible normal. Something else can happen. Just be prepared for it. And yes, not quite sure how to pronounce it. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, but I'm saying it's a Omicron, right? And it came, and people are panicking right now, even without the full data, because They have done the genomic sequencing and they see what's inside of it. But the point is, okay, now that is my normal. I am sitting in Indiana right now in a hotel, and I'm going to fly back to Phoenix, and Omicron is out there. I just need to be flexible about it. I can't hide under the table or I can't hide in the cupboard saying I'm not coming out until everything is gone. And we have to be flexible about it. So that's what the flexible normal is. And small businesses, of most of all, need to be prepared for anything and everything that comes their way. Today, when we look back upon the last 2 years, we have lost 300,000 plus small businesses in America that are not coming back. They have gone out of business. And if you were to ask the question, who is the largest employer in America or United States, it is the small business. So that's a huge impact. So the small businesses now need to be prepped and prepared with a plan, as Maggie has inspired me to pull all these thoughts together, and thank you, Maggie, is plan B, plan C, plan D, have them ready.
Mm-hmm.
Be flexible about it. Don't say, I only sell popcorn. No, you're going to sell ice cream if needed. It's going to move. And that's where I'm coming from. And, a lot of people say, oh, you need to be ready for change. So it is a continuous change. And what I'm saying is, no, it's not continuous change. It's a changing continuity. So start thinking about it in that manner. Now you feel like, okay, I'm on a journey. It's not like you hit a big pothole, but it's more like pothole is also the part of the journey. You're accepting that. And that acceptance is what prepares us for what's coming at us. I'm very passionate about it, and I think I should stop now and wait for the next.
Your words are like a symphony to me. I really, really love how, in your reference to dancing with disruption, how you talk about desperation is the mother of innovation.
Yes.
So in asking and understanding that, and how you talk about the different options that people have, I've always thought from a retail standpoint, like when big box retail kind of changed, altered, Walmart got big, then Amazon eventually came on. I always thought that people needed to look forward anyway, be desperate in their innovation, because then it makes them more proactive in being accountable to their current situation. But when you talk about the flexible normal, do you think that that's moving forward? I mean, obviously we're at where we're at. Moving forward, is that something that people should maybe use as a standard doctrine in their business? Just to understand that there'll always have to be a flexible normal that they'll have to operate from, because if the life cycle of businesses, obviously beyond the businesses we lost, there's businesses that are losing traction as we speak because they're refusing to have a flexible normal. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I'll start with an example, if you're okay with that.
Yep.
Amazon came and disrupted the big box retailers. And everybody said, oh, now you know what? The big box retailers are going to be extinct soon. Well, that hasn't happened.
Yep.
They adjusted.
Yep.
They flexed. They went on the internet. They made the same wares that they're selling in the store available on the net. Amazon then took that to the next level. Amazon went into the bricks and mortar business. They opened up the Amazon stores. On top of it, now they are partnering with the big box retailers to say, you become the point of return for us, since you have the presence all over the place. So I can go to a Kohl's and return something that actually I bought from Amazon. Now let's go back 3 years. And if I had said to you, oh, I'm going to buy it from here, but I'm going to go return it to the competitor's return desk, you would have said, oh, come on, are you nuts? But that is what the flex is.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go down to the smaller businesses now, right? I've seen some examples of this. And actually, one of the people who gave me a quote for the book, for my chapter. He decided that he was going to put not one, not two, but 3 franchises in the same store. So I can actually go and have an ice cream, I can have a hot dog, and I can also get a pretzel. Now, mostly people, the franchisors don't allow for that.
Yeah.
They don't like that. But he pitched them the idea in such a manner that it could be a holistic experience, that they stopped thinking about it as competition. Instead, they said, you know what, maybe this is what my customer would like. Because at the end of the day, it is all about the customer. How well are we serving the customer? And as my colleague, who is also my co-author, Kerry Hoffman, would say, it's extreme customer centricity. What does your customer need? Make sure you are providing that. Second, ensure that you are able to look and anticipate your customer's needs. The best example of that is if somebody has said to me, oh, look at this phone, and everybody knows this symbol, I'm sure. Look at this phone, and you're going to need this phone, and said that to me 12 years ago, without showing me the phone, I would have said, I don't know what you're talking about. Why would I need that? I got this nice little flip phone from Motorola. It's so cool. But Steve Jobs imagined something and imagined a need that I hadn't realized was a need. And when the iPhone came out, suddenly we could not do without it. So that's what we want to focus on. So now let's look at the small business. Small businesses, yes, they are doing a specific service to the community. That's what they do. That's what they sell. But those same small businesses were completely caught flat-footed when we said, okay, on March 12th, or was it March 14th, I forget, we are shutting down. You cannot go outside the house other than to buy groceries. They had no customers. They had nowhere to go. And those that did not adapt are the 300,000 that I mentioned at the beginning of the call, or beginning of my interview. They're gone. And those that are surviving have done all sorts of different things. And many of them, I'm finding out now, have actually added services which they put in to get through a difficult situation, but now it's become more of a holistic offering that they're providing. So I know I've kind of bounced all over the place, but
no.
No.
No, not at all. It's consistent with what you were saying in the book about the ability to align to the changing normal. That's something that I think people got too comfortable with in every aspect. So when we dissect those businesses that maybe have not survived or even thrived during this time period, a lot of it is, I think, is prefaced by what they were not doing prior to this time period, which only then amplified or made things pretty obvious. Like one day I'm in a Walmart and it no longer looked like a Walmart to me. It felt like a big Amazon store, because there was more activity around their new kind of pickup center than there was in the store or in line. There was more people at their pickup center. And I thought about Walmart, say 5 years ago, that would have never happened. Right. The store would be busy, and it's like, okay, they were adapting before, the new normal. They were becoming flexible, and something in our DNA says we either have to become flexible or we find out how inflexible that we are in this process. So it's great what you were talking about, because I totally resonate with that, because I believe that most businesses don't have a plan to adjust, but they adjust their plan based upon being reactive versus proactive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your foundation of what you wrote is just like, I'm just like, man, I wish I could just take you on tour. And take you to a lot of small business group, because I'm telling them that. From a marketing perspective, I'm usually a response mechanism. I'm never, okay, this was something that came in alignment with where I was going. This is what I need to do to survive in most cases. And I wish to have you right next to me because you're just verifying, what businesses, especially small businesses, because every small business says the same thing. I got to find a way to grow or scale or get to the next level, right? But how do they get there if they don't understand that alignment or flexibility has to be a part of their DNA?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Todd, what you're saying is so important. And that's why when Bhushan had shared what his secret sauce is, I said, oh my gosh, we have to have you in this book series because this is the message everybody needs to hear. Too often we're reactive, we're not proactive enough. So thank you for catching that. And Bhushan, thank you for writing a really powerful chapter. Hopefully everyone will take heed and step into a flexible normal.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. But since I just want to acknowledge one thing. I was approached by a number of my friends when the pandemic first started who were running small businesses. And, it was more a friendly reach out saying, you know what, I'm in trouble. And they needed a shoulder to cry on, if you might. We ended up talking and we started ideating. And I started helping them in a manner that would help them not just survive, but thrive. In that, that was my goal. I never ever thought that I could take those different experiences and put it into something that was a cohesive write-up. And I didn't think that was even possible until I met Maggie. She has an amazing way in which she kind of took all the little pieces that I was talking about and made me believe that this should be written. So thank you, Maggie.
Wow, this has been amazing. This has been an amazing first half, Bhushan. Thank you so much. I know you've got to run and get on a plane to come back over to the United States. So we wish you a very safe flight. Congratulations on the #1 best-selling author title, that #1 international best-selling author title that you now have. This is an amazing accomplishment. We're looking forward to coming back and talking to you again soon. But we're going to take a quick break, grab a cup of coffee, and then we'll be right back with the remaining 2 new authors.
Well, small business owners and entrepreneurs, here's good news for you. You don't have to try to succeed with last century's techniques. Not any longer. The series, Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owner, fresh perspectives on profitability, people, productivity, and finding peace in your small business. Yes, finding peace in your business. It is possible. We have written fresh perspectives for you to learn how to win big in this century. And here's the great news. You're hearing from experts because these are #1 best-selling business books for small businesses. We hope you check that out because we do want you to win big and shine brightly in this century.
Welcome back. We've got Maggie Mangan. She is the creative genius behind the international best-selling book series, Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owner. The first half, we talked to you and we talked to Bhushan. It was an amazing first half. So if you didn't catch it, go back and watch the recording. But we want to continue this conversation. We've got 2 more new authors coming in talking about profitability and productivity. So those are 2 things that are perfect for small business owners to get a better handle on. But is there anything else, Maggie, as you're thinking about, as we come back from the break and thinking about what Bhushan said, you had this vision when you spoke to him that here's where his piece is going to fall in. Is there anything else that you feel like will add to that so that if nothing else, these business owners hear this and understand, here's why this is for you, here's why you should read this?
His chapter is important right now because if we aren't proactive and we're not refining our business to the current situation and needs, we will fall behind. And the stats that he shared about how many businesses have closed, you don't want to be one of those stats. You just don't want to be part of that group, because you have a brilliant solution out there that the marketplace needs. And it's your job to figure out how to do that. And we have 5 books worth of how to guide you through that. It's like having your own board of directors. You know, these are true experts. So, you know, please listen to or read what Bhushan has to share, as well as our next 2 authors, because they're brilliant.
Yeah. The recipe's in the name, Maggie. The recipe's in the name. We want to go ahead and bring in Julie Craig, if I'm not mistaken. She is a CPA, but she is one of the authors that participated or that wrote in this book. You wrote chapter 2, I believe. We want to get into what you have to say. It's interesting with your background. You talked about something different. You talked about the 5 essential keys. So I'd love to hear more from you about that, Julie. And just to make sure you know, you're muted. So unmute so we can all hear you.
Hi, it's great to be here today. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I am a CPA practicing in public accounting. I've been doing this for a long time, working with lots and lots of businesses. And being a CPA, you know, I love numbers, right? Don't get me wrong. Nothing better when I used to be able to tie out a set of financials. I was so excited, right? So totally have that geek side to me. But I will say, though, you know, the longer I practice, I just seem to see this commonality with small businesses. And that's what I work with in my practice. I don't do the large publicly traded companies. You know, I don't do hospitals and banks. I really do work to help these small business owners. And with the challenges, you know, and there are a lot of challenges, as you guys alluded to early on in your discussions. But what I noticed was, you know, at the end of the day, there was this commonality. They would get good at the numbers maybe and know what their numbers were, but that didn't mean at the end of the day, they would walk away and they'd be profitable, right? And they would be successful where they really wanted to be. And that's really what tipped me off to the fact that there's really these other components involved in this element of whether a business is actually going to be profitable or not. And as I started to study the businesses that I work with and notice what was happening, there were really some common denominators amongst them that was occurring. And the key, when I talk about one of the first keys I talk about in my 5 keys, is passion. And I think at the end of the day, you know, it's not the end. Like if you only have passion, there's obviously other things you need. So don't get me wrong on that front. But I will say, you know, I've seen people go into business because they'll say, well, I don't want to work for somebody. I just want to make a lot of money, right? So I'm going to go into business for myself because I want to make big bucks like that other guy. I want to sit on the golf course all weekend. I don't want to have to put a lot of hours in. And I tell people all the time, you know, no, you need that passion. Like if you don't have a personal passion for what you're going to do, I mean, this is like birthing a baby at the end of the day. I tell people when you have a business, like that business is yours, whether it's the weekend or the weekday. You can't just walk away from that thing. It needs you sometimes, and it's not at the most convenient hours. So if that passion's not inside you, you know, where are you going to have that extra juice when the hours are tough, right? And the easiest way to know if you have it is just, hey, would you do this if somebody wasn't paying you to do it? You know, that's a simple litmus test I think you can use, right? Is it something you would truly, you know, enjoy doing enough that you would do it without pay? And I have this fabulous story of a client of mine that, you know, they're in the garbage business. But these guys, they'll take a garbage truck apart, all the pieces apart, put it back together again. They just love it, you know, and who wouldn't necessarily like that? But having that skill and loving that skill, you know, makes them really successful in the garbage pickup industry, because you have to have those garbage trucks working, right? That's a key element of your business. And that's an example of how passion can play itself out. And my other 4 keys, willingness to learn is one of those. I really believe in that concept of lifelong learner, and that's why I love like shows like this. I love the privilege of being able to co-author with all these other amazing authors, because that learning thing, right? Like you said early on, you know, the things you pick up from a book or even just shows like this, right? I can tell you how many times I've, you know, gotten great information or tips from shows just like this, right? That have helped me succeed in life. Third is adaptability and pivoting, which we've already kind of talked a little bit about on this show. But always having that constant ability to analyze those areas, what's on your plate, right? As an owner of a business. And I tell people sometimes, do time audits. Where are you spending your time? Because I think there's what goes on in our head, and then there's what goes on actually. And when you start to put that down on a piece of paper, you realize, oh my gosh, I thought I didn't spend that much time on that. Or gee, maybe I can allocate that off to somebody else and delegate that off to somebody else, or get some other resources to help me with that piece of it so I can focus on the part that I'm genius in. So separate from adaptability and pivoting, integrity obviously is really key. I'm a CPA. Obviously, I believe integrity in a large fashion, but I take it to the level when I've seen businesses be successful. Sometimes it's just taking that extra care when a customer's upset, right? Did you care enough to address the issues of how they're upset? Or did you deliver on your word, right? If you said you were going to get it to them by a certain time, did you get it delivered on a certain time? And that's integrity can sometimes boil down just to those simple things. And that's what's going to help people know, do they know you enough? Do they feel they like you? And can they trust you? Because people at the end of the day do business with people that they know, like, and trust, right? And that integrity piece is a big part of helping them in that know, like, and trust area. And the last one I always say is know yourself. And I think that's a big one, because I think sometimes we can have dreams and visions about what we want to accomplish. But if I don't really know how I tick and where I'm going to bring in my genius to it, then it's hard, right? Because I'm fighting against a wheel where I'm not necessarily bringing my best, maybe.
Wow. I love those 5 essential keys. And, as you were talking about it, and I'm hearing you again, I'm seeing the brilliance of this book. Because those things that you talk about, there's a chapter on integrity. There's, so you get these 5 keys in the beginning, and then they're walked through by other authors. You get different perspectives, you get more information, but all of these, it just all works together to help you understand these things are important in your business. As you're building this business, you have to think about these things in order to, to reach your fullest and highest, to take this business, to scale it, all of those things that, Todd was talking about. Everyone wants to grow and scale, but these things are key components in there. And Maggie, you did a phenomenal job bringing these authors together to talk about them, and just seeing how it, just intricately is all woven together is an amazing story that you guys have told in this book. It's beautiful.
Well, and a fun story to share with you on that front is that I was late to the author group, and I love this part, and that's that, Maggie asked me to write on profitability, and I was up front right away. I said, well, I'm probably going to not write it the way you think, because, being a CPA, people think I'm going to stop and say, you need to know how to read your balance sheet and your income statement, and you need to do forecasts and projections and budgets. And I didn't go that route. And so when she got it, I had no idea, because I was late to the group. And so it was so beautiful how what came out of me, and we hadn't connected with each other. I had no idea that they were writing those things. Isn't that the most amazing part of it?
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, because it's organic. It was so natural the way that these chapters flowed into each other. And I know I can't say enough kind things, and I know we've got to bring in the final author, Carlton Hoskins. He's the co-founder of I Do Systems. He and Tehran Glover started this company, Tehran, 6-7 years ago, 5-6 years ago. So let's bring Carlton in, because he's got another piece that we want to add to this in the time that we have left. Hey, Carlton, we haven't seen you in a while.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Oh, well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. At least in the front, anyway.
We definitely want to talk to you about your chapter, and you and I have had extensive conversations. So I'm going to actually step back and let other people get a chance to ask you some of the questions, because I want to make sure we touch on all of the things. So.
That would be me, I think. Well, it's hard, because we always have conversations with Carlton.
Yeah.
And I feel like the things that he writes are the things that he speaks on. Yeah. So for me, a lot of it is just really diving deep on how he wants to help other people through his words. And essentially, I'm always prepared for a Carlton comment, a statement of truth or a statement of excellence that sets us apart. So in terms of your experience in contributing to the book, Carlton, what was it like in terms of how your creative concepts and how to put that into the book in relevance into what you normally talk to us about?
Well, it's so funny because you all know, for those of you who talk to me all the time, that I speak in a lot of analogies because I believe that they help get content out and paint a picture for what we're trying to say. And when I first started writing, Maggie said, just brain dump, Carl, just brain dump. And so I did. And I wrote over 3,000 words, all analogies. And sorry, 5,000. And Maggie said, okay, you are the king of analogies. You figured that out. This is not a book. So we had to go back to the drawing board. And I was fortunate. I had some really great support systems around the writing of that. And Shanna is one of them, Maggie, Masha. I mean, there's a whole group of people who said, all right, we know what you're trying to say. You're just not saying it. So it was definitely a great experience for me to try to get the message right. Because one of the things Tehran and I have been dealing with for the last 5-6 years is getting that message right. Because we know what we know. But as Russell Brunson says so eloquently, once you cross over that epiphany bridge and you get to the side where you completely understand what you've done, trying to explain that to the person on the other side of the bridge, we start talking this tech jargon that no one understands. And we don't realize the things we've accomplished, like the equity equation model and understanding a better explanation of Pillar 5 and understanding how to go step by step through the process versus this macro perspective of a conversation on just telling business owners, oh, just do this thing, but there's no context to it. There's no practicality to it. And so that was my lesson in writing. And I think thanks to a lot of help, we've kind of pinpointed down to a GPS model to explain to the audience. Because to Julie's point, at the end of the day, a lot of people come up with these ideas and say, I want to build this multi-billion-dollar company and float on a yacht and own a basketball team like Mark Cuban. But the work necessary to get there is negated. They really don't know how to get there. And so this authorship collaboration has been just completely amazing because the other 9 authors can talk about things that I can't. And that's one of the things Tehran and I learned along the way. When we started developing Pillar 5 6 years ago, the one thing we knew was he nor I knew how to program. So we had 2 choices. We can either go get a programmer or we can learn how to program. Well, learning how to program would take too long. We wanted to solve the problem as fast as we could. Okay, so then we wanted to get the programmer. So Maggie, to your point, we have to take a path. So once we chose that path and we started going down that path, the next question was, how much money do you have to pay for this programmer? What is it going to cost you? How much money you have in your back pocket? And like many entrepreneurs, the answer was 0. So we had to come up with a process to do this and bring these partners and bring this expertise to our team through equity. And so we figured out these little magical ways, flashing wands around, of how to bring people into our organization. And to Julie's point, it was about our purpose. It was about our mission. It's because what we believed. And so everyone around us could feel that energy and knew that we meant that from our heart. As Calvin Puga said on the commercial, he wanted to build a business from his heart. And that's what Tehran and I do every day. And our team around us, that's what we live off of. Yes, we would do this even if we weren't getting paid. In fact, Julie, we're doing it and we're not getting paid for it.
And you've got other people who are on that mission with you, because of your passion.
Awesome team.
Because of your passion, because of the 5 keys that Julie spoke to. And Tehran, you were smiling while Carlton was talking. I would love to hear what's going on in your head. I think the world needs to hear it, because if you got a smile, man, you've got something going on up there.
No, man, it's awesome. No, I would definitely right. Just doubling down on what he's saying. Everything that Sean Bouchon said, everything that Maggie said, everything that Julie said, it just aligns with, it lets you know we knew it was possible, but then we had to go into how plausible is that. And difficulty didn't mean stop. It just meant, well, we got to go do a different kind of work to achieve the goal. And even what Brushan was saying, like I say it differently, but it means the same thing. I'll say plan B, plan C, and plan D are all plan A. There's 24 other letters to help you do plan A if plan A don't work out. So if the goal gets obstructed, you don't change the goal, you change the route to get to the goal. So you have to be able to maneuver. You got to be maneuverable. You have to have maneuverability, I guess is the word. But you have to have a passion behind what you're doing. You got to know yourself to know if there's something that you qualify to do. You know how arduous this is going to be or how impossible it's going to be for somebody else, but you don't care because you're pursuing your passion, which now pulls you. So all the things that he's saying, because I can attest to it, I bear witness, this is right and exact. This is the history of what we did. And what was really interesting, like what Julie said about the book, the fact that she came in late. And how you just said, we have a team that's doing it. I've learned that whatever you lock into, whatever it is your passion is, you'll realize how many other people are actually doing that too.
Yeah.
Already. We didn't convince anybody to want to save small businesses. We didn't convince anybody we presented a situation, those that happened to be somehow on that path already, that was more the qualifying equity factor than the skill set. There were people that was way more skilled that liked the idea because they liked the equity and liked they saw where it was going, that just didn't make the cut. It's like, if you don't care about this, it's going to show up later on.
Yeah.
So the thing is, everybody has a tribe. Whatever it is you're doing that you love, that you wake up and you have that pull and desire to do, there are dozens. There's a plethora. You got an army of a tribe around. But the more you lock in and focus and laser focus on it, the more that beacon goes out, and then energy begets energy. So it's really it was just interesting for me to hear him say it, because it's a real life story. It's really true. Whatever all the authors are saying, this is what it looks like in real life. It sounds poetic. It doesn't look so beautiful when you're doing it, but it's fulfilling because of why you're doing it. So yeah, that's what made me smile.
Yeah, there's one thing I wish we could rewind right now that you said. You don't change the goal, you change the route.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of business owners, when they run into some, obstruction, there's something that stops them, they change the goal. It's now one of these other possibilities that I had, that I thought of, let me switch and I'll just go that route. And it's just like, but no, where's your vision? You lost sight of your vision. And so I wish people could just grab a hold of what you said right there, because it's just like, they need to understand, you keep moving, you just take a different path. Your goals shouldn't change. If your goal is constantly changing, you didn't really you don't have a vision. You don't have, you have no clear path. You're just going whichever direction, and that's not going to get you there. Yep. So that was an amazing statement.
And Julie hit that on point. That fifth essential key of knowing thyself, knowing yourself.
Yes.
That changes the game. Unfortunately, we are taught, go to school depending on what industry pays the most, and then spend your life doing that thing because of how much it makes, whether you like it or not. Right. And that just changes the trajectory of the whole core of how you're going to do what you're going to do for decades in front of you. There's decades in front of you after you make these decisions. And as we get older, we get less opportunities, less maneuverability. Our bones start cracking. We can't move around as quick as we want and change. We can't fly through that alphabet as quickly as we could. Yeah. So then we just find ourselves complacent. But if these roadmaps that everybody right here on this panel is given, and the way that Maggie put that book together, bringing strength together, more strengths together. Oh man, the roadmaps are now here. And again, like Brushan said, man, I know for a fact my children are not going to be up in a society that I came up in. I would do them a disservice preparing them for an environment and a society that's not going to exist. I don't know what it's like to wake up and have the answer like that. They do. I don't know. I'm still trying to understand this cryptocurrency, NFTs and stuff. They won't have to. It'll be normal. So I can just love what I love. Somebody say, well, you just going to use this because this is all I know. Well, then I'm doing a disservice. There's a constant, what do you say, a continuity. And that's forever consistent. We're not going to stop adapting. We're not going to stop winning. And those that are doing what they're doing, like what we're doing, everybody's doing it. We're not going to stop receiving the same energy we're putting out. So just stay mad focused, crazy focused on what that energy is, because it's going to double down if you do that, when you do that, because you're going to do that whether you know you're doing it or not. All right, I'm done.
That's right.
No, that was good.
It's to your point, Tehran. There was a post that I saw on Facebook yesterday that said, congratulate your parents because they graduated school without Google. So I kind of laughed at that, right? Because, you know, back then we didn't have Google. We had to go get an encyclopedia. We had to write the answers on the back of our hand or whatever you were doing to try to get the answers.
Library.
Now they can just put in an earpiece and say, Siri, what's the answer to da-da-da-da-da-da? And it just tells them right in their ear. And they can, okay, I got the answer. You know, so it's a lot different. And to your point, Tehran, and about roadmaps and paths and the goal, I always look at, and Maggie really helped me to really dial down on this, champ. And I know you and I talked about GPSs for a long time, but she really helped me to focus down, and Shannon helped me to dial it out and to explain it, was to the point. If I have a goal and my goal is to get to a store, let's say I want to get to a Target, just hypothetically, I can't put in 5 different stores. I can't put in Target, Dillard's, Macy's, Walmart, and whichever one I get to, great. Well, when business owners start out and they say, well, I just want to generate revenue, to Julie's point, I just want to generate revenue. I just want to make money. I just want to be a billionaire. I'm going to go after, and these are these solopreneurs. I want to go after these 6 different things simultaneously because, you know, I need that residual money, you know, I need to hurry up and go get all the money in the world. And there's no focus. There's no definitive destination with a point that could be pinpointed in the future. Now, once you've done that, you could go down the road and there could be an accident in front of you. What does Google do? Here, let me reroute you. Hey, here's another route. It might take you 3 minutes longer. It might be a little bit shorter, but you're still going to the same destination. And as businesses are growing, and this is what I talked about in the book, is understanding what those turns are, understanding what those directions are. And those are going through the 5 pillars of building a business. And those are understanding the life cycle stages of your business. And those are making sure that you do not leave any one of those gaps unchecked. Because if you do, it'll hurt you later. If you drive and you never check your fuel, eventually you're going to run out of fuel and you won't know that you ran out of fuel. And then it becomes a problem. And so Tehran used to say all the time, you don't have a problem, you have an issue. A problem is an issue that wasn't resolved when it was an issue. So
Zelda T. Glover, my mother said that. She's the dopest in the world.
So we just got to stay focused on the goal. And the Brilliant Breakthroughs for Small Business Owners, Volume 5, really lays out all of the different insights to get to that destination. And it was amazing being a part of that collaboration. Julie, in fact, I was one right before you. I thought I was the last in the book, and then you came, and Maggie's like, oh, there's one that came after you. And I thought I was going to just run myself into a wall. I had Shanna up to midnight. I had all kind of people working around me to get this thing done. And we did it. And I'm just so honored for the opportunity to be here and to be able to work with all of you.
And I have such respect now for the author process, you know, to write something. Well, when you realize all that goes into it. So hats off to Maggie too for having done this 5 times.
Yes.
That's crazy. Definitely.
Well, we want to, it is time. We are running short. I cannot believe how quickly this hour went, but it did. So we want to respect everyone's time here. Thank you guys so much. Congratulations. Number 1, international best-selling book series. Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owners, Volume 5 is on Amazon right now. You can buy all 5 of them on Amazon. They are going to change the way that you do business and the way that you live your life. So check them out. Go and buy a copy. Buy all 5. But we would love to have you guys back at some point, dive deeper into this. There's so much wisdom. There's so much, benefit that business owners will get. But we want to thank you guys for being here. We want to thank I Do Systems for sponsoring this, the LA Tribune for sponsoring us. It's an amazing thing that they're doing for business owners. And as Natalie would say, go out and do something today that will help you better your business.
Yay.
Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought